Hello and welcome back to the SwansCast podcast. I'm just jumping back on after we've recorded the video just to tell you that what I'm about to tell you at the start of this podcast is a little bit incorrect. We did record to talk about the recent form, all of the games. We got the Watford game, the Plymouth game, and the Sheffield Wednesday game, as we always do. And then we ranked the transfer business, which was always the plan for this podcast. However, there's a lot of content there, and it went on for a little bit too long. So what we've done, we've split this into two episodes. The first one, which is this video, will be us talking about the recent form, and the second part, which will be uploaded at the same time, so is already available as you're listening to this right now or watching on YouTube, will be about us ranking the transfer business after what was a spectacular transfer window if you are a Swansea fan. And of course, we got a bit carried away, so we went on a little bit longer than perhaps we... Hello everyone, welcome back to the SwansCast podcast, episode 4 of this season, I believe it is now. And do you know what? I think it might be one of the most positive, exciting episodes that we've ever recorded since we started the podcast, if I'm being totally honest. And I believe everyone that's listening probably knows why that is. I'd imagine people are probably going out of their way at the moment to find people discussing what's gone on the last couple of days. Obviously, the transfer window is closed, so we are going to be talking about all the wheelings and dealings of the Swans. I've got Lee and Ben, as always, to discuss all of that with me. So welcome, lads.
How are we?
Hello. And yeah, I'm sure they will be happy with a lot of what's happened as well. So we're going to discuss all the transfers, the deadline day stuff. We're going to rank what we think the transfer business is out of 10 for each player. And we are going to touch on a couple of the games that have happened since our last podcast as well. But obviously, that's perhaps the less exciting stuff at the moment. But that's where we're going to start. So if you are here for the transfer stuff, you're going to have to wait a little bit because we're going to leave that till after we talk about our form and our results. Lee, I think you weren't here for the last episode. So obviously we discussed that. I think it was the last game we talked about, Ben, was Sheffield United. We just beat Sheffield United.
I believe so.
Yeah. So we got Watford. We're not really going to talk about the cup game, but we did beat Plymouth in amongst all of this as well. And we've got Sheffield Wednesday away. So 1-1 against Watford at home and 2-0 away at Sheffield Wednesday. So starting at Watford then, lads. Thoughts on that game in general, Lee, if I start with you then?
Yeah, it's been a while since I come on. I think like I did the last one after the Middlesbrough game. So it's a lot different since we spoke about the Middlesbrough game. But yeah, the Watford game, I was actually really surprised at Watford. I thought first half they were brilliant. I thought they completely bossed us first half. That I can't say his name. Is it Aaron Kunda, the one that scored the free kick?
Yeah, Aaron Kunda, Nestroy.
Even before he
as well.
Yeah, even before he scored the free kick, I turned to my mate who was sitting next to me. I was like, "Who is this guy?" And then I looked up, and then it turned out he was 19 from Bayern Munich. So I was like, "That makes sense."
They got him well cheap as well. I don't think they paid that much for him.
Yeah, I think it was like 2 or 3 million. I think it was. But I was like, "What a player!" So I was quite surprised at Watford. I thought they kind of bossed us in midfield a bit. I thought we looked a bit lightweight with Galbraith and Yalkue and Franco. I thought maybe we looked a bit like weak with those three. But then second half was just totally different. Vipotnik came on, Stamenic came on, and we just looked like a totally different side. And I think we probably should have gone on to win it at the end. We were unlucky not to win it. So, yeah, it's quite happy how they changed it around in the second half, from what I can remember. Vipotnik
yeah, I was going to say Stamenic coming on definitely changed. I think if he starts that game, I wonder if he would have gone a different direction. Yeah, obviously that was his debut, to be fair, but instant impact for me. And definitely instant impact because he got the most stupid yellow card seconds after coming onto the pitch. But luckily, he kind of put that behind him and went on to put in a good performance. And I think he has done really since in other games he's played afterwards, which I'm sure we'll get to.
So I think that was kind of the turning point as well. I think, well, for me anyway, I was getting so frustrated with like Cullen being up front on his own. It just wasn't working at all.
And he should have scored in this game, to be fair.
Yeah, but then the difference when Vipotnik came on, because the game before, which was strange, he brought Wales on the knee instead of Vipotnik.
Yeah.
But when Vipotnik came on, you could just see how different we were with an actual striker who could like hold the ball up. I think that's just been the turning point. Then from then on, we've looked like a completely different side. Plus the new signings that have come in.
I was going to bring this up with Stamenic, right? Sorry, he comes on, he gets the stupid yellow instantly, And there was a highlight going around. It was a brilliant tackle he made. He got the ball, got it fairly. But it was a reckless challenge, despite the fact he did end up not being a foul. If he connects with the man instead of the ball in that clip, which I think most people probably have seen on Twitter and things, he's getting
he
one of
comes
those
flying
red
in.
cards. Yeah, he's getting like a 10-minute red card or whatever it would have been on his Swans debut. And we're talking about him in a very different light. He never would have played the next game against Wednesday where he did class, and he'd still be sat here like, oh well, we still don't know what he's like.
Well, he would have been ruled out for the Plymouth Cup game, to be fair.
Would it be Cup, not league? Is it?
Yeah, it would have counted for that. Right. But no, I did when I saw him flying in for that challenge. I did wince a little bit. I'll be totally honest. It was a really good tackle, but I guess it's maybe you could say that shows the quality of player he is, that he was able to be confident in that sort of tackle, even under that situation. Whereas other players probably get that wrong and end up walking. I mean, I was nervous, but it was a good tackle in the end. So fair play to him. It's one of those where if it pays off, then you're a hero, but otherwise, you're a villain. But I don't know if I totally agree with you, Lee, that they bossed us in midfield. I think the first half was pretty much cancelled each other out. Not really. I think they nullified what we were trying to do. They came set up in a certain way and closed off anything that we were trying to do. But I don't know if they bossed us. I just think they were very difficult to break through.
And everything I've seen says they were on top for 60 minutes, like well on top. And it was only until like the subs came on, Stamage in particular, we actually got a grip of the game.
Yeah, I thought they were. I thought we just struggled to get it.
I don't think they really created any. They had one where they had the two chances, which were like, one was from a corner, wasn't it? Which was that? I'm trying to think now. There was a big save from someone on a goal line clearance. So, what's his name? Vigoro made a big save. I think that went up for a corner, and then Cabango had a goal line clearance. So that was all in the space of 2 minutes. And other than the free kick, that was the only really chances they made in the first half. And they definitely started the second half better than us. I would definitely say that 10, 15 minutes until we made subs. But for the first half, like, I've got the momentum graph up on the screen now. So you can see, obviously, where the goal is. The two chances came in the other bit of their spell. I'm not saying that we played well. What I'm trying to say is I think it was just a bit of a dull game with two teams, like, just nothing was happening. I guess as the home fan, when that sort of thing happens, you always feel like your team's playing worse. They've come up a certain way and set up, I think, defensively. But that Aaron Kunda looked like, well, I've heard a lot of people saying he was one of the best players they've seen in the Championship. Not even this season, just ever. Which I think you said that in the group, didn't you?
Yeah, he stood out massively. I just it's very rare, like in the Championship, because a lot of teams obviously come down and you think, oh, it's a good team, but it's rare that like individuals really stand out in the team.
Yeah,
and he was just different. But that's why I thought they played so much better, because he was standing out, and I just thought they were in a bit more control of the game for 60 minutes than we were, and we struggled to get into it. But like you said, when the subs came on, that changed the game then. But I think they were kind of the better side just about before that.
Yeah, I think I would agree they're the better side from the fact that they were away. And if these are the first half stats, I mean, this is what I meant. Like, the XG is not, obviously they scored a worldie free kick, but that's like just two teams playing quite. There's nothing going on. It was I think they were very frustrating to play against. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Second half obviously was a different story, especially after 60 minutes. I think the two subs you already mentioned made a big difference. But one other thing I noticed that probably is worth discussing is when Stamanic came on, he moved Galbraith to right back. And you said Galbraith was quite quiet in the first half, which I would agree. I don't think he really, considering he had like 3 back-to-back man of the match performances, or was it 2 before this game and this was the third?
3, yeah.
Yeah.
This one 3, yeah.
I think this was the third, yeah. But I think that man of the match performance only came when he got moved to right back, where all of a sudden he just took total control of the game from right back, like out of nowhere. And some of the balls he was pinging were unbelievable.
Yeah, he was quality.
Trent effect. It's too early to say that.
Never seen anything like it from a Swans perspective, I'll be honest.
Well, this is the thing. Like, remember we talked about Galbraith being used as a right back, and plenty of people were saying, nah, he has to play midfield. He's our best midfielder. All of a sudden, we got all these midfield options. I like Key. I still think he's our first choice right back, obviously. In a game where you're going to have a lot of the ball in those areas, and he's going to have space to invert from right back to centre mid. It's a tactical decision, which we don't often have that luxury to put that sort of player with that level of creativity and passing ability in that area of the pitch. We saw with Grimes a lot. He'd drop in between the centre backs. He'd go maybe shift to the left a bit and spray it across the right wing. We've never had that on that side of the pitch, really. Darling's the closest we had, and he wasn't exceptional at it. So it's interesting to see if it's used again, because in a game like this where we're trying to break someone down, you could still have a midfield of like Stamenic, Yalkuye, and Franco, whilst having Galbraith shift to right back,
Yeah. Well, that was what I was going to ask, because do you think there's any value there? Do you think Josh Key should be a little bit worried, or maybe it should help him perhaps up his game a little bit?
He'll up his game, won't it? Because he'll have Parker who can push him in terms of that position to go up and down the flanks, overlap. And you've got Galbraith who can push him in the sense that you've got a different sort of option from the full-back position, a different way of trying to approach a game. If there's going to be games where at home with plenty of possession, is Josh Key our best bet against like a low block? No, Galbraith maybe is.
Yeah, I think it's spot on. I think when you have a game like that where Watford kind of just camped in a bit then, didn't they? After we got after
he got injured, really.
Yeah, they kind of set up then, didn't they? And they were like wasting time and all that came with it. And I think you're right. I think that was a great decision to then put Galbraith at right back when it's that type of game. Maybe going forward, like you said, Josh Key's still our number one choice right back. But like, what an option to have, because how many times have we seen it at home when teams just like let us have the ball and sit off in the last 20 minutes when we're chasing the game? So to be able to do that now is just another string to our bow, really. So it's quite exciting. And like you said, I was so surprised how good he was at right back in that game. Like you said, I know we were going to have loads of possession, but he was running the show from there. And he got the assist for the goal as well.
Because we forget, despite being, I think it was clear he was Leyton Orient's best player last season, he did play at right back for most of last season. I believe I'm correct saying the little bits of centre mid, but he was their right back. And obviously, could well be because they didn't have many options at right back. They had other options in midfield. But he still recorded, was it a dozen combined goals and assists-ish around that mark? And obviously those may have been when he was pushing further forward and whatnot, but still. This isn't somebody who's just been square peg around hold into full back like we normally see. Somebody who can genuinely play both positions well.
Yeah, exactly. And you are right, he did get the assist for Potnick's goal. And what a cross it was. He obviously got up near the byline, really, and put a ball in that I don't think I've ever seen Vopotnik score from that sort of situation, but a very good glancing header to the far post. And it looked like his celebration, he had something to prove, maybe.
Yeah. And there's one thing I like about Vopotnik, mind. It's very rare you see two of his goals that look the same. He has the ability just to absolutely smash one in. Just to briefly touch on Plymouth, if no one's seen that goal, who's listening, just look it up. I couldn't believe how hard he hit the ball in the stadium. He's had one like that before against Derby
came from
last
nowhere.
season.
We were sitting there, next thing we were cheering. It was just okay, he's just put that in the goal.
He's had a couple where he's arrived at the back post, one against Oxford away springs to mind last season. He's now had a header, which his heading ability isn't something I really considered to be, or maybe still considered to be, a strength of his, to be honest. But clearly he has got that ability to run across the front post and beat his man. So you just don't know what to expect with Vopotnik. He does have different types of goals, which is good as a striker. You're not one-dimensional.
Yeah, exactly. Cullen should have scored before that, in my opinion. There was one near post and he just puts it the wrong side.
He should have.
Maybe could have got his season going with that goal. But probably on the reflection of the 90 minutes, a fair result. I think if you're either fan, you probably could say you could have won the game. I don't know if... Go on.
No, I was going to say, I think you kind of touched on it earlier, didn't you? I think if we had started with a team that finished, we probably would have won that game, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think Watford were necessarily doing a tremendous amount from open play. I think there was one chance of note in the second half when they had that period, and the ones I've already touched upon in the first half. But I think they were quite happy with when winning 1-0 up, for example, with that, or to even keep a point in the end. I know from speaking to their fans that Swansea for them is a bit of a bogey place to go, so they see the draw as a positive, and maybe that reflected towards the end of the match. And obviously when Starman went off, it looked like the team didn't really know how to attack after that, I'll be honest. However, what I will say about Watford before we move on is I do think it's a different Watford to what we've seen perhaps in the last couple of seasons, and they're probably going to do okay this season. I think whatever investment they've had, they've changed a lot there, and it seems a lot more positive rather than before. It was a lot of like players who were just there until they weren't, basically. Any more on this one?
Don't think so.
I missed anything?
No, I think so. It was a good point anyway.
Yeah, okay. Moving on then. So, I mean, not to go into detail, but obviously we did end up... Well, I saw my first ever Swans live penalty shootout. I don't know if it was your first one, Ben.
It was, definitely. I think the last one was 2006, so I would have been 5.
I remember one in the LDV Vans Trophy at home. I can't remember which one it was. Yeah, we won it.
No.
I remember Tate scored a penalty. And
That must have been the last one, because it was like 2006 or something.
Yeah, it was the last one we won. We did lose one a few years ago when Cooper was there. I can't remember who it was to. I just remember Bender was in goals. Could have been QPR.
I don't know. I might have been there for that one then.
We lost one against
it was away. It was away. I can't quite remember. We did lose to someone, though. It could have even been a team from the league below, to be honest. But yeah, it's something we've won in a long time, nearing on 20 years, like Christ.
Yeah.
Anyone of note to mention in this game? I thought it was interesting what they did with Jay Felton. I don't really know what position he was being asked to play in this one. It was odd when they had Stamenic, Vidal and Felton, with Stamenic being the holding midfielder.
I mean, it wasn't a good game, was it? If we're being perfectly honest.
No, it wasn't.
The main thing I wanted to touch on was, obviously, you've already mentioned Vopotnik's goal.
Yeah.
And just Vidal in general. I saw him getting quite a lot of criticism after the game, but I thought he did okay. He probably should have scored early on. But he's definitely a player learning a new league. That's probably why he's not starting yet. He's still finding his feet. But do you see the potential there, or what do you think of Vidal so far?
I can see technical ability. I think physically he's quite a way off, if I'm honest, particularly because everyone keeps calling him an 8. And I was certain he was coming in as a 10. We're playing with no 10 at the minute. That's quite clear. We're going for 2 8s and a 6, no matter what sort of combination of midfielders we go for. I can see how he can be an 8, but he just needs to learn tricks of the trade. I think you look at Galbraith, his physicality, his shape, and that he doesn't look like he should be any stronger than Vidal, but he clearly is. He knows where to put his body. It's experience, and like despite the fact they're both a similar
English
age,
league experience thing.
Yeah,
Galbraith's been doing it in English football for a few years, and so he sort of adapted to that.
Yeah,
and obviously Vidal's got a 4-year contract, so we're upon our faith that he will get there. I think the rest of the players are coming to make an instant impact, and he's the one for me. I think everyone was most excited about, especially before heading into the summer, and he's been the one that's just been a bit cold starting off.
Yeah.
The only other thing of note here is Sam Parker playing 90 minutes, and I think he proved that he is definitely good enough to be back up for right back position this season.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, especially because he's similar to his profile.
Yeah, it's good that he's there now. He's going to get a season, he's going to get a full season proper as the number 2 right back, isn't he? He is there now, so he'll get some game time throughout the season.
He's really the only youth product that hasn't been shipped off on loan.
Yeah, which I'm gutted about as a separate issue. I can't lie. I know. Thing is, I was banging on about the right wing position all summer and how we had Caveira and Congreve and Cottrell and Wilson. I was like, oh, one of them could be back at right wing, surely. And then obviously we'll get to transfers later, but the right wing we did bring in, it's kind of shut me up a bit, hasn't it? But yeah, they've all gone. And, all the players we just mentioned, they've gone on loan. So has Ollie Cooper. So has is it Mitchell Bates or Adam Bates? Something Bates. They've quite a few. I didn't
see that one.
Yeah, only to the Welsh Prem, but I think it's a proper local club.
I did see, sorry,
yeah. But point being, plenty have gone out. Whether any make it in the end, I'm not sure. Congreve was the one. He's still the one I'm really hopeful for. I can't lie, at least in the short term. But we'll wait and see. The fact that the ones who have signed new deals and that they're 2-year deals, they'll still have 1 year on their deal when they come back. It's not exactly a massive show of faith, is it? In that they expect them to be in and around the first team.
Part of that, though, is if they have a really good season, I think they would want more wages. So maybe the players didn't want longer term as well.
Because
if they do do really well, they'll want to keep their own options open. So, like remember what happened with Cullen when he was asking for new deal because he was on pennies, and we were like,
Yeah.
he's still got plenty of time left.
Also, though, I struggle to believe if I'd given any of those people the opportunity to have a deal till 2028, they'd say no. If I'm honest, because
maybe not, but you
I
never
think
know
there's
what
more
involvement
chance.
agents have these days.
Yeah. I'm just picturing whatever they're on with the Swans, even if it's on the fringes of the first team, it's probably going to be just as much, if not a little bit more than what they'd get at League Two, I think. So
maybe. Okay, so Fisher.
Really good. Other than that one like unorthodox
Yeah.
save, like his man of the match performance in like a terrible game, like a terrible watch, to be honest. We obviously ended up with Jay Fulton, the centre back, because of injuries and whatnot. But we ended up full strength, and still Fisher man of the match. He did keep us in it. We didn't deserve to win it. There's no point brushing over that. Plymouth deserved to go through in my eyes, but
Yeah, they did.
Fisher, I think, proved himself as a more than good enough number two, not number one, but easily good enough number two keeper this season. Though.
Yeah, can't argue
Yes,
that.
it's really weird, isn't it? I think when we scored, I think the game was very much in the balance, and then from that goal, we sort of dominated the first half, and then they scored from nothing, from a set piece on the cusp of half time, and then the second half was like a dogfight, and we couldn't get going. Sorinola with the assist, but also the missed penalties. So,
and
I
everyone
was quite
chanting
harsh.
YJB at him. I did feel bad for him. I did. You could
Yeah.
tell he was really gutted.
I mean,
Because he played
so
well.
must have
He
been
genuinely
hard.
had a good game, and obviously, I know the assist. I can't actually. Oh no, obviously, good ball into the box. It was a great assist. So I did.
It was
feel bad
weird
for him,
defending from us. Like, I
Yeah,
think it was Vidal on. Was it Vidal on like one of the centre backs? Like, why
yeah, it
is
was either
that pairing?
Vidal or it was
It was. I
who's the
think it
other?
was Vidal.
Yeah,
But I don't put any blame on him because that's a mismatch. Why is he there?
there's
I haven't actually watched it back. I haven't been able to bear to be honest. But maybe it was like a zonal system. Because we've tried that.
it was
From corners has worked at times, and also it's led to us conceding chances as well, isn't it? Like you
But
got
the only other,
Burgess.
we've only conceded from set plays. So
I know you
Yeah,
got
it was-
Burgess, who's like in and around the middle of the 6-yard box, and anything within like 2 or 3 yards of Burgess, he's just getting clear. He's such a wide person,
yeah,
strong person, good jump on him, and good aerial ability in terms of like direction of his header. The zonal part works with him, doesn't it? But there has been obviously the Middlesbrough one. It wasn't particularly bad defending, but it was a perfect ball in, even though he had 2 men up his backsides. I think it was it Fry who scored, was
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
It's just it's something to look at. Because still haven't conceded from open play in
No.
the league. We conceded 1 against Crawley, didn't we? But yeah, set pieces are undoing so far, and it's weird because we don't look particularly bad most of the time, and then sometimes we look shocking.
Yeah, there was. I did going back to the penalty as well. I don't know if there was something in it, but because I watched it on TV, and there was a bit of like thing with Fisher and Sorinola. Obviously, they played together, didn't they, for the Swans? And I think when he saved his penalty as well, he kind of like there was a bit. He was like laughing at him, not in like a
that's
like
what
a
they
bad
do in
way.
bench
Like,
shootouts, though, isn't it? They always get each other's heads.
but like it's interesting, because obviously they would
Yeah.
have played together for a long time.
Mhm.
Well,
Were
not
they
for a long
were
time, but
they
that
at the
season
same
under
time?
Martin. Yeah, it was even
Yeah,
that
I'm pretty sure they were.
Martin
They were
season.
both Russell Martin, weren't they?
Yeah, but mine had 2 years. I think Fisher came in January of the first year. When was Sorinola here? Second year?
Well, Fisher was there both years, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, Fisher had
I
two.
couldn't remember
First
when he
choice
went out
both
on
years
loan.
the whole time, but he was there both
Yeah,
years.
they would have had at least a full season together, I think.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But yeah, that is interesting. I didn't even think of that, to be honest.
I only noticed it because on TV, because after he saved it, there was like he was like having a little chuckle to him, like smiling at him. So
Perhaps he was like, I know where you're going to go, mate, from all our training days before.
Well, maybe.
Oh, well, it paid off, didn't it? And to be the one that he saved as well. So I guess it was
Good
written in the stars.
good for Fisher as well, though, to have that game because
I was
he had so much stick.
Loving it for him. I think people didn't even want him as number 2, but that game on itself seems to have won over people that he's good enough to be number 2 all of a sudden out of nowhere.
I think
And I'm
people
just
forget
glad.
though, like how bad most championship number 2s are. Like we've had a few instances where, like we had just going back, Nordfeldt and Mulder, we had Bender and Fisher. There have been times where we had 2 like equal keepers in terms of ability. This is the first time where we've had an excellent number 1 and like an okay number 2. in my eyes. Like,
Yeah.
depend. Like, what was last year? Even we had, or year before we had Rushworth. Who was
We
number 2
signed
for
that
Rushworth.
McLaughlin, wasn't it?
Oh yeah,
So, yeah. So,
McLaughlin.
and to be fair, he only had 1 game in the cup against Southampton. You can't exactly judge him on that, but you wouldn't have been happy if he was starting, would you?
No.
McLaughlin.
But we didn't see
Right,
anything
Fish.
from him. I think Fisher came in probably at the worst time because I think Russell Martin's probably shown since he's left the Swans that it's probably a hard job for his goalkeepers.
Mhm.
And I just think it just ruined his head, to be honest.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe we haven't seen the best of Fisher, you know.
He definitely went through because he was great for a while. But people were complaining at first because he was great and he played in
I just think the spiral of doom, wasn't it? And then
I think he just lost all his confidence then because he was interestingly, I forgot because I was moving over the last couple of weeks. I got the the signed sheet from because I went to the game where they did the double, the Cardiff one, and Fisher's on it, and I forgot he played in both of those games. So he was that season, he was great. And then I think he just had a bit of a crisis confidence then.
Remember, he saved a pen against Blackpool. Everyone was loving him for a month then.
Yeah.
Just remember the bad stuff with keepers, that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on. So Sheffield Wednesday away. Do you know what? Sheffield are going through obviously a really tough time, and they've done okay on the pitch this season so far. I wasn't sure we were going to go here and win, but it was quite convincing in the end. So,
just to jump in on this game, it's the only time, me, I'm normally the prophet of doom, and I think, oh yeah, there was a banana skin and Sheffield. I didn't think it was going to be an easy game. I didn't think we were definitely going to win. But when the team sheet came out, I was like, oh, finally, because after the Sheffield United and the Watford game, I was just crying out, please let Vipotnik start instead of Cullen because it's not working for me. It wasn't working at all. So Vipotnik started, and then Stamanic had such a good game, and I thought one of the midfielders needs to drop out because we need to have that bit more presence in midfield. And that was the team that he picked, and I was like, oh my god, this is the team. This was the first time in a while where I was like, oh, this is the exact selection that I would have gone with. I'm so excited for this game, and it just paid off, and everything just worked. It was great to see.
I loved the team selection. That's exactly what I would have chose as well, if I'm being totally honest. I think
how refreshing is it though? Especially in this game, and keep in mind we've strengthened as well since this game. I can't wait to see the team sheet for Hull, for example. If you look back at this selection now, if I just try and pull it up a second, I can't remember the last time we've had this sort of depth. We'll get into
our bench is going to look class.
Well, this is the thing. There's people who aren't even going to be on our bench who I'd be happy being on the pitch for us. This never happened before.
I think who did we sign on deadline day? 3 players, yeah.
Yeah,
so I'm looking
3
at the
players.
bench.
Can't remember
Cooper and Wales are going to drop out. Yeah,
Cooper's gone on loan. Yeah, Cooper's gone on loan, so he won't be there. But this is our bench, right? It was Fisher, Caelan Casey, Sam Parker, Yalkuye, Vidal, Cooper, who will now go, Bobby Wales, Cullen. We're then obviously going to have Benson, what's his name, Samuel Smith, and who's the other one? Third one. Ida, obviously, coming in. So, and keep in mind, Santos is injured as well. That's another one. So,
and Felton's injured.
Is that why you weren't in the squad? He was injured, is it?
Yeah, that's why. When you went to centre back in the Plymouth game and he got that yellow card, he apparently had a ripped muscle or something in his leg.
Oh, right.
He just didn't come off because we didn't have any subs. Yeah, that's why he rugby tackled the players at the floor.
Oh, fair play. But yeah, crazy depth is the point. How refreshing is it that we can bring subs on? You're like, oh yeah, but it's going to improve us because last year we had to put up with people coming off the bench who just knew weren't going to make an impact. They had to come on because you couldn't keep the same people playing 90 minutes every single week. When you got Yalkuye and Vidal coming on, for example, Yalkuye is the one that Brighton fans are raving about as though he would have been a ready-made replacement for Belieber, who could have gone to Man United for 100 mil, and he sat on our bench in the Championship, and that's purely on merit at the minute because he can't get on midfield. It's silly.
I can't remember if I sent it to you boys. I think I sent it to my dad when the transfer window had finished and the signings had come through. I know we come on to the signings. I think I texted him saying this is going to be the best bench we've had in ages because one of our things, like you said about last season and all other seasons, I can remember you just look to the bench and think we need to make a change, but there's nobody to bring on. But like you said, even in that game, in the Sheffield Wednesday game, the players we had to come off the bench was great. Cullen came on, Yalkuye came on, Vidal came on, came off the bench. It's just we've got such a good bit of depth now that I can't remember us ever having. Well, not since we've come down anyway. I can't remember us having this like much depth.
Not they needed to come on. We should flag that. It was a surprising amount of time without a sub in this game. I think it just showed how in control we were. It was one of those games you just didn't want to mess with it, to be honest, because there was just no sign of Wednesday scoring. We were comfortable. We weren't having to press or anything, so we weren't exactly getting too tired. But it was just a game.
Gonna
The
walk us
first
through the
half,
goals.
yeah, we can go through the goals. I mean, just to cover first of all, first half. I didn't come away at halftime thinking, oh, we're battering them. But the first thing I said was, this game is there for the taking. They're offering nothing. We do
Here's the
need to be a
stats
bit
if you
more.
want 'em.
Yeah, we do need to be a bit more ruthless. I mean, you can see by the XG the chances. I don't think for Guru did he make a save again. I feel like I said that about the
One.
Sheffield United game. One save. So against both Sheffield clubs, the 2 wins this season, he's made one save
in
combined.
the first half, that was sorry. All game was 1.
Yeah, you know, like, and I can't actually remember what the save was, so chances are it wasn't much of a big chance. And then the 2 goals, yeah, impressive goals again. I mean, all I would say is that what's his name, Horvath, however you say his name, the Sheffield Wednesday keeper, he needs to be doing better for Vipotnik's goal. The first goal, he
but
really
that's why
needs
he's
to
like
do
Cardiff's 4th choice keeper, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's credit to Vipotnik. You know, he got out of his feet, got the shot away. That's all you can be expected to do as a number 9. That's what they say, hit the target. Got to hit the
build-up
target.
was nice there as well.
And again, he's doing the same celebration. He's trying to prove a point. This game was obviously a day before. Was it a day or 2 days before deadline day? I beg your pardon.
2, I think. It was like Saturday
Yeah.
and deadline day was Monday.
Yeah.
So.
And obviously he's doing the same celebration, you know, like the hands up, like, why is it taking me this long to be playing this often sort of vibe he was going for. It was his 3rd goal in 3 games. And he is still at the club. So I do have to think, to be honest, that, as we'll discuss a bit more later when we rank all the signings, I honestly do think the plan this season was to have 3 strikers for the 1 striker formation. And I do think it's his form and the fans sort of like screaming for him to stay that prevented him from leaving. I think he maybe wanted to leave, but I think the club maybe changed their mind towards the end of the window.
Maybe he changed his mind as well. Maybe there's an honest conversation and he's shown on the pitch and they've decided to continue for a little bit longer, maybe. I'm not sure. But I'd imagine if he wanted to go, he probably would have got his move.
Yeah. But then moving on, the 2nd goal. Admittedly, we were watching on a stream in a pub, I think. I didn't realise how many passes went into the move, if I'm quite honest. I didn't realise sometimes you get it with the Swans and these long moves. You don't realise how good of a move it was.
But I thought Alan Sheehan just passes it over the top, over the midfield. And
well, he does normally, let's be honest. Like, it's only really the 2nd half that we actually started playing through the thirds a bit more. We don't often do it. Against this side, they were tired, they were lacking in quality, and the fact that we knew they didn't have much going forward the other way, the defensive line was getting up a bit more, and you'd normally expect them to, and we were trying to break them down. And of all people, again, probably having the best start to a season he's had for us, definitely, and rediscovering some form that we haven't seen since he first joined, was Ronald again, popping up in the centre of the box, and it was quality. First touch out of his feet and then instant finish. And it's not something I don't think I've ever seen from him before. One thing we always criticise is his end product, whether that's crossing or shooting. The fact that he was able to, in one motion, it's one of those ones, he knew what he was doing with the ball before he'd even received it. And normally, he doesn't think that far ahead. He gets the ball, looks up, does a few step overs, ends up in like a 1-on-2 or 1-in-3 situation out wide, and then just crosses into a sea of bodies and doesn't connect. Here, he takes up a more central position, which we never really see. And it was like a number 9. I don't expect to see it often from him, but I just couldn't really believe what I'd seen from him. It's a sign of a player with confidence, definitely.
Nice to see that. I mean, we did make 570 passes in this game. I don't know if we're a hoofball team, which certain quarters will have you believe when we lose a game.
Our average possession over the 4 league games is like, I saw it was like 56% or something. So it's not like, I don't know how much you read into that, but
I think we're still in the top 10 in the league somewhere, like 6th or something.
It's consistent from last season, isn't it? Under Sheehan, I think it's.
But we said it needed to evolve, and I think it did need to evolve. And
I think it has.
I don't need to have 70% possession.
I think it has evolved. I think the way we play. I think, like he's touched on it, though, that we need to probably create more chances with the dominance that we had in that game. We should have really created a bit more. But I think that will come with the players that have come in and as they play more games. Yeah, I think it'll definitely happen. The more games that we play, and I do think we were like stifled a bit with like, again, I keep coming back to it, but like Cullen up front just wasn't working at all. So I just think it's just going to change totally as we go forward. And
So
going back to
Cullen-
like, go on.
So sorry, carry on. I thought you'd finished.
No, yeah, I was going to go on to something
I was
else.
going to say Cullen. Like we've got 3 strikers now aside from Cullen, obviously with Ida coming in. So we've got Potnick, Ida. I know Wales is kind of one for the future. But do you think now we probably want to see Cullen playing up top anymore? Do you think it'll be like if he comes on the pitch, it'll be with another striker?
Yeah,
It's mental,
I don't see
though,
how he fits into it now. I just don't see
Go-
where he fits
I-
because like
I
for
know he
Wales, he
isn't
played well.
Sorry, I was going to say, I know he isn't fitting into it, but you literally only have to go back it's about 10 days from the time of recording to an interview from Alan Sheehan saying Liam Cunn's got a number 9 shirt over Jean right now. That's a week and a half ago he said that. And he's raving about him and bigging him up. But now, a week and a half later, we've got a £7 million striker coming in. Plus, Jan Potnick seems to have overtaken him as like the first choice number 9 out of those two, you know?
Yeah,
I think we'll see him playing in cam sometimes, depending maybe at home. And he's played in the past wide, hasn't he? So like injuries and stuff, I don't think it's game over for Cullen yet. I just think he might be on the bench at the moment.
Yeah,
he's good off the bench. I think he is good off the bench though, isn't he? Because he's versatile.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I don't think he'll come on for the striker now. I think he'll come on with the striker in terms of maybe we need to chase a goal or like whatever later on, and that's
I think that'll be where he comes on. I think it's difficult because I feel bad, but like he's not a number 9. We've been through this. He's not a 9 on his own, but it was glaringly obvious in those like 2 home games because we couldn't. We talked about the Watford game where we kind of couldn't get anything going. We had no out ball because every time we went into him, he was losing it or getting pushed off it. Couldn't hold the ball up at all. So part of the change in that game was when Potnick came on because he could actually hold up the ball and bring players in. But it's difficult because I don't know, like especially with the new signings, I don't know where Cullen fits in now. I think you're right. I think he'd be on the bench and just come on if we need a goal and stuff. But in terms of like starting now, I think it's going to be quite limited, which is a shame. But like he started for Wales today. I watched the Wales game and he played
well.
But
not up top though, behind Kiefer Moore.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not his position. So I did feel bad, like criticising him quite a lot in the first 2 games, probably because he's not a 9, so it's harsh.
Well, he actually played number 8 for Wales.
Yeah,
he didn't even play 10. He played number 8, which is a system we do play. We have got, as we pointed out, we've got 4 very capable 8s. One of them being Vidal, who he's bedding in a bit that he'd have to compete with. It's why Ollie Cooper's just gone out on loan because Ollie Cooper would have also played 8 because he plays there for Wales when he plays. He knew he would have had a lock in.
I guess that's the beauty of Cullen, though, which is what we got to give credit for because he could play wide, he could play through the middle if we needed him to. He could play 10, so his versatility is quite useful.
Well,
he's hell of a player. Sorry, go on. I was going to say he's hell of a player to have in any injury crisis, isn't he? Anywhere.
Benson is injury prone. Is injury prone, so it could be a situation where they both get injured and then he's second choice on either side all of a sudden.
Yeah,
and Anusa's had injuries already this season, so
he's a quality player to have that can cover quite a lot of positions. To be fair, it just wasn't working as him as a 9, but you kind of knew he's not a 9.
Yeah, and he probably wouldn't be. You know what? He probably wouldn't be too bad. I think maybe on the left more than right because you'll have time and overlapping.
Yeah.
So cutting in, if that ends up being something that he does, I just speculating, but that's enough on Cullen. I'm sure time will tell.
Too many options now.
Well, time will tell what brings there. Obviously, this is a good performance for us. Jermaine Lowe didn't really have a sniff, former player and all that. I do feel a bit bad for Sheffield Wednesday. Mind, it's a bit of a tragic situation for them.
It's bad.
Well,
like you said about that team sheet, and it's like that's their team, and then his kids.
Yeah. Well, fair play to the ones who stuck around though, because like any of them could have left because they haven't been being paid their salaries. They're allowed to just walk away. Quite a few of them did.
It's not the players though, in it. It's all the staff of the club that aren't getting paid. That's the worst part of it all.
It's just really sad, and anything that can happen. Such a big club as well. You're just like, can you imagine that was happening to us? It'd be heartbreaking, wouldn't it?
Well, I was listening into the channels that we did the previews with this week, and they were saying like, I think it's happened again in regards to the club staff and that. But like, people are having to leave, get different jobs because they literally can't pay their bills. It's just horrendous.
Well, you're just defaulting your mortgage, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like there's food banks there and things for events like that, which I'm sure people will have access to, hopefully. But you don't have stuff like that to keep the heating on and pay a mortgage, do you? It's awful.
Hopefully it gets sorted soon. But yeah, any other key moments from this one we've missed? Or
Yeah,
not really key. Well, we haven't talked about Stamenic. Again, easy game on paper, and it was. But my word, what a player. 2 and a bit million. Like, I think he went a bit under the 23. And I think he went a bit under the radar compared to some of the other signings, right? When you think everyone's raved about Galbraith and everyone's raved about Burgess, and rightly so. But I think Stamenic happened quite soon. What was it after? Was that after someone big? Was it Galbraith or a week after? Yalkuye, sorry, a week after Yalkuye.
Yeah, Yalkuye.
And that's another one that had even more hype. I think not that people weren't bothered, but I think everyone thought Yalkuye was coming in to be the 6, and everyone was like, "Oh, our midfield looks a bit lightweight," and everyone had been asking, "Oh, are we going to get like a brute force number 6 in?" Stamenic just walked in. It took like 6 days to announce him, even though everyone knew he was coming. It was like a weird situation. And that just took a little bit of like the hype and momentum out of his signing, I think, in terms of like, he was announced and it was like, oh, ha, as if
they leaked. Someone put the announcement out early and deleted it as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, and then it took away from it a bit, to be honest, I think. But you got to remember, this is somebody who Forest had brought in the centre-rate Olympiacos, who were in, I don't know if it was Champions League qualifying, ended up in Europa League. He featured a little bit. Didn't really know what to expect too much from him, did you? Because he only played, it was like 15 to 20 games last season for them. It wasn't loads. And he's come in, he just looks ready-made for the league. Still got room to grow as a player as well at 23 in terms of ability. But it's just made us look so solid. Like, I have so much faith when the fullbacks are going forward that him sitting in front of Cabango and Burgess are just rock solid. We're barely going to go up any chances in open play.
He looks like a championship Rodri.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
which
just
is nuts to say.
I was so similar to you, Ben. I was so surprised because when he signed, I was a bit like, well, I don't really know what to expect from him. Not really sure. Like you said, we just signed Yalkuye, and I thought, oh, maybe he's just like kind of cover. But my God, that like when he came on against Watford, we touched on it. He looked really good, and then that game, he just so comfortable. It was unbelievable. Like he was clearly man of the match. And like you said, I know the game kind of dictated that it was probably an easier performance, but you still got to do it at championship level. He looked so comfortable. I was so excited with that, and I thought like he was exactly what we were missing when you watched that game. Any kind of things that I said, like I thought the midfield was maybe a little bit lightweight. You just stuck him there, like in front of the centre halves, and he was just solid. And it just allowed like Franco and Galbraith to have a bit more freedom. Like so, Franco got forward a bit more than he normally does. He had a couple of chances. He probably should have scored at least one against Wednesday. So I'm so impressed with him. I was just excited to see him play again, to be honest.
Because this is what I was struggling with, right? He came in and everyone was like, okay, he's going to win everything in the air. He'll be a bit reckless in the challenge, pick up loads of yellows. And he has won everything in the air. He is a bit reckless. He does need to err on the side of caution. He's basically guaranteed to get a red card or two at some point this season, I think. But everyone was saying, okay, he'll be just good enough passing ability-wise. He's not going to be great. He's come in. He looks comfortable. Like, he's not going to be doing like Mac Rhymes things, but that's just like Swans fans' expectations on what a CDM should
be. He doesn't need to though, does he? He can just give it to Galbraith.
The people he's got around him, he doesn't need to. Exactly. Even like, I don't know, Timon, a little bit key. Not so much the centre backs. He's got players around him who are comfortable on the ball. He can literally build a career here out of just destroying everyone who's like in his way, and just laying it off to the guy next to him if he needs to. But the thing is, like, he's doing Travella passes down the line and things. You know what I mean? Like, he really doesn't strike me as somebody who needs to even play that safe. He does look to go forward, whether it's just finding the next person in front of him to pass the ball to, or quite often he has a few yards of space in front of him after winning the ball back, and he just instantly goes. And he's quick off the mark as well. He has a good stride on him. So, and obviously, a willing runner of the ball. Try and get the ball off him when he's running. It's not exactly going to be easy, is it?
There was a couple of runs in the Watford game when he came on where he just like was a bit more direct, and he done like step over and took someone on and looked like he was people are going to compare everybody that plays in that position to like Grimes, but he's just a totally different player, and it's kind of in keeping with what we said. Like it's not as much as obsessed with possession football. It is going to be a bit more direct, and I think he just fits that. perfectly. Yeah. I just that it's just like a tailor-made sign-in for what we're trying to do.
But I think that's what we've said about how like football trends change, and maybe the passing football way isn't as big as it used to be. But he's a player that we've perhaps, or that sort of player that we've missed for years, to go a different direction, or to like adapt what we are doing to be a little bit better for what you need to do to win games. Because even at the WrestleMania, it was when we were getting these high possessions and dominating the games and not maybe scoring as many as we should, and then all of a sudden we draw a game or don't win the game because we concede easy chances, or the amount of rubbish goals we conceded in that period, and even under Luke Williams when we did concede, and it was like losing the ball somewhere and then conceding on the transition. I feel like he's the sort of player that will nullify that. And that's what we were missing for so long. And as for his passing thing, 91% passing accuracy in this game. So I know, again, like it won't be that all the time. Maybe Nottingham Forest, now when they were pushing for Champions League last year, maybe that's what the floor is. But they obviously signed him last summer thinking he would be someone that could add to the squad. And then perhaps they're, what's the word? They've done a lot better recently than they probably were expecting, a lot quicker. And maybe that's why he doesn't fit their team anymore. But he's played like 30-odd games for New Zealand as well. He's only 23. And all right, it's not the most high-quality international team, but still international football.
Yeah, but he's played Champions League football as well. You know, he played for Red Star, and he played for Copenhagen. He's been to Forest as well, Olympiacos, like you said last year. He's played like at a decent level. You can tell he's got like some serious quality. And I actually didn't realize he was only 23, and we've signed him. It's not, he's our player now. So it's just.
Yeah, we were all nervous about Franco leaving this summer. Like, we're going to be nervous about leaving next summer. And I think on that note, perhaps we could go on to the transfer business. Be a good time to do that.
Can I just touch on XG first of all, though? Before we move on, I was just say err on the side of caution, right? Because I do think after 4 games, it's 2 wins, a draw, and a loss. We don't really know where we are still this season, I think, which people are forgetting, because the 1 game we've lost is against Borough, who are top of the league with 4 wins. The 2 games we've won are against the 2 Sheffield sides who are in the bottom 2 places in the league. Sheffield United have lost all 4 games. Wednesday have drawn 1, lost 3, and the draw was a bit of a fluky draw against Wrexham, who have conceded the most XG in the league, I think, up there anyway. So it is a thing of we don't know where we are still, but defensively, again, only 4 games, only Ipswich and Birmingham are better than us. Going forward leaves a lot to be desired still XG wise. We're quite low down in terms of goals scored and goals conceded for expected goals. But for Birmingham and Ipswich to be the only 2 sides better than us currently is a massive sign, because normally we're sort of like always in like the bottom 6 or 7 clubs in terms of worst defenses.
Yeah, I think the signing of Cameron Burgess is one big strength of that bow as well.
Yeah, I think it's been like maybe in the last 2 seasons in particular, I've thought it, and I think I was quite vocal about our like attacking options last season. But I always thought like our back 4 and the kind of the midfield, we were kind of okay up to that point, and I think it's got even better now this year, and the stats back that up. And like you said, I think it's just like the kind of the front 3 that probably need to get a bit more end product out of, but I think maybe we will get that, hopefully, and with the new signings coming in, because if they can fix that, like we look fairly solid, as we said, defensively. If they can get something going forward, I think we'll be dangerous.
I think Sheehan's first thing when he came in was to make us more hard to beat. And he did though, didn't he? And the clean sheet he got towards the end of the season.
I haven't got a problem with it. I think if you're solid in the Championship,
no, I agree with you.
You get, you go far. If you're a hard team to beat, you go very far, because you can.
I think that's where you got to start, isn't it? It's easier to fix a team that's not scoring as many goals than it is to fix one that's leaking goals all the time. And if you look at Leicester when they went up, obviously not last season, the year before, they were winning very low margin games early in the season, and then obviously they started running away with it. I'm not saying they were going to do that, but they were rigid at the back, hard to beat, but not creating loads. I think even when we played them, we thought, we could have gone more there, but like they just had that moment of quality and won games, and it just shows how important just making sure you don't concede is. So if we can just continue in that vein, even when we don't do great, like you mentioned there, Ben, they only lost this season so far, 1-0 to Middlesbrough. We've won 4 in a row, which I would never have ever guessed or expected they would go on to do that from that one
They
game.
look crap, didn't they? So did we, but they
Yeah.
look crap as well.
Yeah, we like both teams going forward looked average, but then I think what you can take from that now is we obviously stopped them creating chances, and we're not very good going forward, or we're getting better slowly, but we haven't been very good. They've obviously gone from that against teams that perhaps haven't got as good defenses and gone on and won all the games. So I think it shows. We wouldn't have known it at the time, but I think it shows where we are a little bit more than perhaps we guessed at the time, that we look actually quite solid.
We do look very solid as well, to be fair, in games, like watching games. Like you said, I know it's Sheffield Wednesday, but they didn't like. I think they had one chance in the second half where the like fullback had come in and just hit it over. But we look so solid. But hopefully now, like we said, we talk about Stamage. Hopefully they can release the players a bit more then going forward.
So that is it for part 1 of this podcast. Be sure to tune into part 2 to hear our rankings of the transfer window out of 10, and let us know your thoughts in the comments of that one. And head over there right now to check out our rankings of the summer 2025 transfer window. And thank you, as always, for your support.